to say this and I got to go. I love y'all. Keep supporting comedy. And I want to thank each and every one of you black guys for dating these ugly-ass white chicks and taking them off our hands. Real business. My name's Ray Lapowski. I'm out of here.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. This is ladyblaxican coming at you with another video. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit the notifications so you're notified anytime I drop a new video. Also, shout out to the new subbies. Welcome to the family, y'all. If anyone has any ideas, feedback, or videos you want me to react to, please email me. My email is always in the About section, and it's ladyblaxican@gmail.com. Finally, as y'all know, the dust is quite fierce. The dust is quite fierce. So in case we need a backup plan, I've created a second channel for us. I'll link that for you below. Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody's doing good today. I just wanted to jump on here real quick for a quick react. I heard that Big Sean was or is currently trending for some remarks that he made about Black women. Supposedly they were positive remarks, and we will get into what he said in just a moment. But I wanted to jump on here real quick to just express my thoughts about that entire mess, right? Now, I don't really know much about Big Sean. I know that he is a rapper. I know that he did that song with E40, and he, I believe, is still with Jhené Aiko. Now, I am more of a soul girl, so I have a lot of soul songs from different soul artists in my playlist. But, you know, I'm eclectic, and really it depends on my mood. But that's mainly my go-to when I just want to chill and I want to listen to music. And so Jhené Aiko is actually one of the soul artists in my playlist that I actually enjoy her music. But anyways, let's get into what he actually said. He had mentioned in an interview that Black women are the closest thing to God, right? And he was dragged in the comments by some, and he was uplifted by others, particularly Black women. Apparently, some were split and some were very much in favor of what he had to say, right? And so this is what my thought process is. Now, y'all know that I'm multiracial, right? And I know a lot of people don't agree with the fact that I identify as a multiracial Black woman, but I'll just reiterate why I do. It's because I'm, you know, in my DNA, I'm obviously mixed. I have a biracial mother and a Black father, and phenotypically I am Black, right? Honestly, growing up, the hyenas, they treated me like a Black woman until they saw that I had a biracial mother. And they still treated me like crap, don't get me wrong, but I always noticed a shift in treatment, whether it was temporarily or in the moment or whatever the case may be. There was this certain shift in energy amongst the hyenas that I grew up with when they found out that I had a biracial mother. So I have a different perspective of the hyena brain when it comes to their description of what a Black woman is. So I'll give you a couple examples. Now, the other day I was breaking down the show Girlfriends, right? I was breaking down each character. In part 2, I break down the character Lynn. And I mentioned that there's this element of her character, whether it's her herself describing these characteristics or a hyena being played opposite of her, describing these characteristics about Lynn herself. They always put her on the same plight as Black women. That one vegan hyena that she was with, he had mentioned that there, you know, and at the time there was this epidemic of Black women getting HIV because of hyenas and their ways, right? And so it was actually relevant to talk about it at that time. But when it was being discussed amongst this hyena and Lynn, He mentioned to her, black women that look like you are suffering from HIV, right? And I noticed, even Lynn would do this herself. I mentioned this to y'all. There was a scene in the final season where the record label that Lynn got signed to, they also signed another black woman, and she had her own issues too that she had to deal with. But when she was having a conversation with this black woman, because the label chose her versus Lynn, because, the black woman had a more soulful voice and Lynn had more of a contemporary rock voice, and they wanted to put the black woman in the front lines. And so they're just exchanging plight. Like Lynn is talking about how she's not black enough, and the black woman is talking about all the cliches that the label have against her, and they try to use those cliches to exploit her to make money, right? Can you sing it more soulful? That old chestnut. And Lynn says, I guess it's just so hard for us black women, isn't it? Right? Just putting her on the same putting herself on the same playing field as black women, while having hyenas reinforce that for her. I also noticed this element in this current season of The Bachelorette. There's a hyena on there that was eliminated. I forget his name. But a few times I noticed during the season, and y'all know I don't talk about this show. It's just something I do on my own time. But, it's irrelevant to the show. But I think that this portion of the show is relevant to what I'm talking about. But anyways, the hyena on the show of this current season of The Bachelorette several times uplifted the current Bachelorette. Her name is Michelle. And she's biracial. She has a white mom and a black father. She is phenotypically black, but you can tell she's mixed. She does also have Eurocentric features along with her black features. It's just that you can tell that the black phenotype is dominant in terms of her melanin. But she has green eyes. She doesn't have 4C hair. She has more of a 3 hair type hair. Because clearly that's her DNA makeup. She is mixed. But I noticed that this hyena, he's an African hyena, he mentioned to her, oh, I appreciate you talking about your experiences and this, that, and the third as a black woman, and you're handling yourself as a black woman. And it's making me think that I have black women in my family, and I have black sisters, and you're just such an inspiration, blah, 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 right? And we've seen this countless times. We've seen it with Tyrese, with him and his ex-wife, and him talking about my beautiful black wife. We've also seen it, shout out to Lexus Exodus. She just showed a live the other day of Tariq Nasheed being called out by a viewer of one of his lives. He was talking mess about divestors and calling them wenches, right? And just dragging, us fellow divestees, because in order for you to be fully divested, you can't intertwine with hyenas. And Tariq Nasheed does not like that, right? And so he's just talking all this mess about divestees, and a black viewer called him out and was like, you don't even have a black wife. And he did what most hyenas do when they're challenged with something intellectual and they're challenged with the fact. They buckle under the pressure and they start pulling out all these insults that don't mean anything because, just to show their level of intellect, which is 0. But it's true. Lexus Exodus did show the picture, and you can clearly tell that this is not a black woman. It's a biracial woman, right? And so I say all that to say this. I think that when Big Sean is talking about black women being the closest thing to God, I honestly think that he has the same mindset of this element that I was talking about with girlfriends and the hyenas and how they would uplift Lynn as the same black woman, even though she's clearly biracial, with that hyena in this current season of Bachelorette, uplifting the current Bachelorette, even though she's biracial. And we've seen this countless times. We've even seen them, because somebody is of a Latina culture, but they have Eurocentric features, but because they're Latin culture, they've even been lumped in with black women and being deserving of saying the N-word as such. You know what I mean? Things like that. And so I wouldn't doubt that Big Sean thinks that Ariana Grande is a black woman. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he thinks of, a black woman. When y'all know Ariana Grande is clearly not a black woman. She's absolutely not a black woman. And, you know, people were getting upset on the other side because Big Sean's words that black women are the closest thing to God is a contradiction of his dating preference, because of his dating preferences. But I would argue that in his mind, he thinks that he is referring to black women. They do this all the time. And so I wouldn't even take it for a grain of salt. Like I said, I don't take it for anything. It means nothing. Because you could try to educate hyenas about what blackness really is, and they're just going to buckle under the pressure. And so, like, in my mind, when somebody like Big Sean is saying that black woman is the closest thing to God, I think he's talking about Ariana Grande or Jhené Aiko. I love Jhené Aiko. She's one of my favorite artists. But she is a preference. She is not black. She is mixed. And it is what it is. But yeah, I wouldn't be bothered by the fact that yet another hyena is doing this, because they do this all the time. Divest, take it with a grain of salt, and I hope that black women that actually were moved by this realize that he's not talking to you, unfortunately. He is talking about his preferences, because as we know, hyenas lump preferences in and have them replace the image of what it means to be black, a black woman particularly. They try to do this all the time. But we know the truth. Even I, as somebody who is multiracial but phenotypically black, I know the truth. Okay? So that's all I got to say about this. This was way longer than I wanted it to be, but let me know y'all's thoughts on this one. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see y'all in the next one. Love y'all. Bye.
What is up, black people? How y'all doing? I want to let all you black women know you need to get a white man in your life.